Shapiro scoffs at the idea. Ben Shapiro scoffs at the idea that Americans should be able to afford to live in America, suggesting that if they can't afford to live in their homegrown cities, that they should be forced to leave.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Who does this guy even appeal to? Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro will call you an anti-Semite if you claim that Israel doesn't deserve to exist without American help. This Zionist rat want American taxpayer money to go toward financing and defending his genocidal state of Israel. Meanwhile, he thinks Americans are unreasonable because we simply want coherent fiscal policy. He demands a homeland for himself and the Jews while advocating turning Americans into economic migrants. And if someone is struggling to afford to live, how can they possibly afford to move? They can't. But the message that capitalists like Ben Shapiro sends to the working class all the time is simply shut up and die. Demanding that our ruling class keep the cost of living affordable is not unreasonable. Zionist Jews like Ben Shapiro are traitorous scum who don't give a damn about the quality of life of Americans. The only thing they care about is their genocidal state of Israel. You have millions of these people who do not donate to mutual aid. They don't donate to food banks. They don't do anything to actually help Americans. They spend their money donating to AIPAC so they can corrupt our political process. Even conservative influencers are calling out Ben Shapiro for this. The American people are tired of these Zionist scum who do nothing but put America last. Donald Trump is exposed for protecting pedophiles as newly released emails reveals that Donald Trump knew all about Epstein's operation and played his part in covering up his crimes. This explains why Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Mike Johnson, under the orders of Donald Trump, tried to block the release of the Epstein files. MAGA is completely finished. This should be considered one of the biggest scandals in modern political history. The political elite and financial institutions providing support and cover for a giant sex trafficking ring. This is the story of a generation. This scandal goes even further when you realize that Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Mossad and gathering intelligence for the state of Israel. You guys notice how Zionists are the ones who always trying to downplay the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy? Well, this is why. Was Israel connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring? Considering the Epstein connections to Israel, it seems impossible that they wasn't at this point. This explains why Donald Trump was willing to tank the reputation of MAGA and the entire Republican Party in order to cover this up. This explains why Democrats refused to release the Epstein files when they had complete control of government, despite how damning it would be to the political arch nemesis Donald Trump. 2024 already revealed that Democrats care way more about protecting Israel than winning elections. Do not get it twisted. This is a bipartisan cover-up. The capitalist class is full of pedophiles and their enablers. They are completely depraved and they must be removed from power.
Hey, what's pop, my friends? Welcome to Nigga Prime Time. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I literally turned the vertical. I turned it off and still messing up my YouTube. Oh man, how did it look? Because last stream, I don't know what the hell is going on. How did it look on YouTube, friends? I might have to reschedule this stream. I don't know what the hell is going on. YouTube is like glitching really bad right now. Do you guys see? I see multiple streams. This is not it. This is not it. I think is it okay on my channel? I think is it okay? Okay, I think it's all right. I think it might be working now. What's popping? Is everything working, dude? Sorry, I think this has been glitching for a while. Like some people have it vertical. Like this, I'm showing multiple streams going live right now. Like what the hell is going on, man? I literally see multiple streams. What the hell is that? Like there's like 2 streams running on my channel for some reason. Yo, what? Yeah, there's a what the fuck is going on with YouTube, man? Like there's a mobile stream. There's like 2 streams, and there's nothing I can do about it. I did not put that in settings. Man, you guys are sending me some mad missed signals, man. This is crazy. This is derailed. This is derailed the whole stream. Hold on, let's see if I can figure this out. Let's see if I can figure this out real quick. But you guys see, why is it showing multiple streams, man? What is that? See, what the fuck is this, man? What is this? I don't know. What is that? Zoya, this stream right here, we probably gotta take this stream down. Like there's one stream, I think I know what happened. I think I know what's going on. There's one stream where it's working, and there's one stream where it's fucked. I don't want this stream up though, because this stream is just taking views. So maybe this stream we gotta take down somehow. I don't know how though. I don't know what the hell they should change in here. I didn't stream on Monday. I took one day off on streaming, and then they changed everything. What the hell is going on? Gotta be kidding me. Hold on, give me 1 second while I try to fix this, guys. I don't know what the hell is going on. I just hope I'm fixing some settings, guys. Hold on, let me I don't know, man. This stream is fucked up now. I guess I can just do my stream as normal. I'll figure out what's going on later. This is crazy, man. I have no idea what's going on. So sorry if you guys watched the stream. We're just going through some mad technical difficulties. I think there was I don't know if they made some changes or it's a glitch. I'm showing multiple streams on YouTube. There's only one link. Like this is sorry guys. I'm just trying to fix this real quick. Because I still have Sam Husseini that's supposed to be joining. That's the only reason I haven't like just pulled the plug on this whole stream yet. Because we still have a guest that joined us. So if you watch this shit show, we still have someone join us here soon. So Zoya, I'm showing there's one stream on my both of them fucked actually. Come on, man. How does that happen? I literally I don't know, man. I'm demoralized now. I saw when I set up this stream, I saw a setting where you can pick vertical or normal. I literally did not pick this. What the fuck is going on? I have never seen. I have been doing it for 6 years. I have never seen this before. Damn it, man. So how did it look on this one? All right, I think this is the good stream. Maybe I don't fucking. Zoya, I think we had to remove the stream that wasn't vertical. Let me see, because this stream was good. Now it's down. What's the stream that's running? All right, we just gotta fix it. Look, it's vertical again. What the fuck? This is a shit show. If we do keep the stream, we gotta edit. We had to go back in the studio and edit all this shit out, Zoya. If we do keep this up, like we might have to reschedule Sam. Like this is crazy. What is going? Like there's multiple streams popping up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we turned the good stream off. Unfortunately, we were supposed to keep the good stream. I think we're cooked. This is a live show, so this is like a blooper live stream. Sorry, guys. I have no idea what's going on. There's like a glitch. I've been doing it for 6 years at this point. I never seen anything like this, so I guess I gotta do a trial run next time. This one is good. Which one is that one? Do you guys see what I'm talking about? I think you guys understand what's going on. Like, there's multiple streams. They changing the landscape orientation for some reason. Why would they do that? Why would anyone want to watch this shit vertical? So look, I'm showing vertical. You guys see this? Why would anyone want to watch this shit? So I got to show you guys hear me complain for the rest of the stream. Like, what the fuck, man? What is this? Like, why would anyone watch it like this? I didn't set it up like this. By the way, I got 55 people listening to my boomer meltdown. We're having a meltdown live. I know it's good on a few other platforms. It just RBN's good, man. It just sucks. I think it's gonna be just messed up on my channel. What the hell did they do to my channel, man? Because apparently it's working to everywhere else. Oh, we see a super. I see that. Oh yeah. By the way, I think like we just got super chats and super stickers that should be working now. So I guess like I finally got monetized. I finally got super stickers, and now my channel's fucked up. So thank you guys for the people who stuck with me. If you left, I don't blame you. If you left during my boomer meltdown, I don't blame you. I'm gonna try to get back on track just because we live on other platforms. I've been very invested in growing my personal YouTube channel, so it's very disappointing that the stream is not working there. I'm gonna check the RBN page. Yeah, the RBN page looks good. All right, so if you're seeing this live meltdown, good for you. But Zoya, when this video, I know X is working. When this video finish, we have to go into the studio and edit the beginning because most people see the replay. Not the people who saw my meltdown live. You guys saw something beautiful, but I'm gonna get back on track. We gotta make sure we do that. We gotta edit the beginning here. I'm at 14 minutes is a good 14 minutes. Here you go. Pretty much when that super sticker went down. That's where we're gonna start the show. You know what? I'm sorry guys, but I'm gonna start the show. This has been fucked up. I'm gonna start the show with my 2 hotspot videos again because we're gonna cut out everything in the beginning here. This live stream is a fucking mess. I know. But most people watch the replay. So I want to make sure it's at least a good replay for people who watch the replay on RBN because we're going to cut the beginning out anyway. So sorry. I know I played this already. But just for people rewatching this, I want this to make sense. So Zoya, when we edit this live stream later, we're going to start from when I played the Ben Shapiro a hotspot. I'm not sure what's going on with my guests. I know that's fucking going crazy right now. I'm not sure what's going on with Sam. I know this stream will be crazy, but whenever he can join,
maybe you should not.
I got a lot of stuff. So we're gonna start the stream from my hotspot videos again. So thank you for sticking with me. This is a crazy beginning, but we'll make sure we cut the beginning out. Let's start from here, guys.
Ben Shapiro scoffs at the idea that Americans should be able to afford to live in America, suggesting that if they can't afford to live in their homegrown cities, that they should be forced to leave.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Who does this guy even appeal to? Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro will call you an anti-Semite if you claim that Israel doesn't deserve to exist without American help. This Zionist rat want American taxpayer money to go toward financing and defending his genocidal state of Israel. Meanwhile, he thinks Americans are unreasonable because we simply want coherent fiscal policy. He demands a homeland for himself and the Jews while advocating turning Americans into economic migrants. And if someone is struggling to afford to live, how can they possibly afford to move? They can't. But the message that capitalists like Ben Shapiro sends to the working class all the time is simply shut up and die. Demanding that our ruling class keep the cost of living affordable is not unreasonable. Zionist Jews like Ben Shapiro are traitorous scum who don't give a damn about the quality of life of Americans. The only thing they care about is their genocidal state of Israel. You have millions of these people who do not donate to mutual aid. They don't donate to food banks. They don't do anything to actually help Americans. They spend their money donating to AIPAC so they can corrupt our political process. Even conservative influencers are calling out Ben Shapiro for this. The American people are tired of these Zionist scum who do nothing but put America last. Donald Trump is exposed for protecting pedophiles as newly released emails reveals that Donald Trump knew all about Epstein's operation and played his part in covering up his crimes. This explains why Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Mike Johnson, under the orders of Donald Trump, tried to block the release of the Epstein files. MAGA is completely finished. This should be considered one of the biggest scandals in modern political history. The political elite and financial institutions providing support and cover for a giant sex trafficking ring. This is the story of a generation. This scandal goes even further when you realize that Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Mossad and gathering intelligence for the state of Israel. You guys notice how Zionists are the ones who always trying to downplay the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy? Well, this is why. Was Israel connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring? Considering the Epstein connections to Israel, it seems impossible that they wasn't at this point. This explains why Donald Trump was willing to tank the reputation of MAGA and the entire Republican Party in order to cover this up. This explains why Democrats refused to release the Epstein files when they had complete control of government, despite how damning it would be to their political arch nemesis Donald Trump. 2024 already revealed that Democrats care way more about protecting Israel than winning elections. Do not get it twisted. This is a bipartisan cover-up. The capitalist class is full of pedophiles and their enablers. They are completely depraved and they must be removed from power.
What's poppin', my friends? We are back. We're back at Nick at Prime Time. And I'm covering, you guys see my last two hotspot videos. I'm going to try to get to Ben Shapiro here very soon. But the main story of the day, we have this bombshell. And MAGA is completely cooked. You have leaked emails that reveal that Donald Trump knew everything about the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't surprise me at all. This shouldn't surprise any of us. Because what I was saying on my last stream before I was interrupted was I was explaining how we live, and many Americans are not ready for this conversation yet. Many Americans are sweet summer children We got to fight and defend our democracy. Like, bro, we are led and ruled by a criminal pedophile ruling class that is engaged systemically in sex trafficking. We have gangsters in our government. They are not statesmen. They're not public servants who care about the people. They are glorified arms dealers. You know, the United States is responsible for a massive boom of black market in guns, from neo-Nazi groups to terrorist groups in Africa to radical jihadist groups, which we armed as well. I really need Americans to understand that they're not public servants, they're criminals involved in this massive conspiracy. And you notice that Zionists like Ben Shapiro, as I mentioned in my hotspot video, they're the ones who are the quickest to deny the ties that Jeffrey Epstein has to the Mossad, which we will be covering soon, because there was bombshell reporting revealing how Jeffrey Epstein was providing intelligence for the state of Israel. We already knew this, but we got more confirmation of this. And the corporate media is completely ignoring this. And I know why. It's a complete bombshell. Story of the generation with Trump connection with Epstein. But the United States government involvement with Jeffrey Epstein is tied to the Mossad, this honeypot scheme that is not just rogue individuals. They were supported by whole ass financial institutions. You had the Florida legal system that was headed by Pam Bondi that gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal. He had law enforcement on his side. He had capital on his side. Human trafficking, as I explained 1,000 times before, sex trafficking, as I explained many times before, is not a working class crime. The two most profitable criminal industries are drug trafficking, and number two is human trafficking. Human trafficking is not a working class crime. And even with drug trafficking, many people will be surprised just how much large percentage of the drug trafficking is actually done by the ruling class, by the CIA, how much the CIA was deeply involved with drug trafficking in black neighborhoods, in the ghetto. It's like the opium wars in China all over again. So this is just another criminal element of our ruling class. This story, which in a sane society should easily be the domestic story of this generation. Because obviously you have the crimes committed by Israel, where we need justice for Palestine. We will be covering that here very soon. We have the war on terror, which was a war of terror on the global working class. We have obviously the deranged foreign policy of the United States, which will be spoke about for generations. But when it comes to domestic issues, in the last few decades, you have the corruption with corporate bailouts, and I think the Epstein story, the biggest domestic political issues of our time, which I'm glad the right is interested in it now, but I remember the Epstein thing was something that leftist conspiracy theorists like myself been deeply entrenched and interested in, like, because we've been explaining how the capitalist class are depraved. The Elon Musk, the Fox News billionaire capitalist will have you believe that you shouldn't trust your average American worker. You shouldn't trust your neighbor, because the working class is full of depraved, decadent, violent people. Meanwhile, that is the ruling class. I'm going to show you guys a few of these emails, which is completely rocking MAGA universe. Jeffrey Epstein in 2028. I know how dirty Donald is. And these new batch of emails that was released today, and this is why Mike Johnson was doing everything he can. He stayed still, because we still haven't got all the information. This is a small email dump on some more information we know about Donald Trump. And what does it say about the depravity of our ruling class that we had damning information about Donald Trump being connected to Jeffrey Epstein? There's an email that explained how he was in a room with one of the Epstein victims for hours on end. Look, and this is another lie that Donald Trump told. And if Donald Trump is innocent, why does Donald Trump and his team and his people have to spread so many lies? One lie that was told, and our friends DDG, you guys know my friend Sarah, my friend Chris, they've been killing the game at DDG Politics. You guys know I'm a big fan of them. They've been all over the story. X has been having a full-fledged, at least the MAGA right Twitter, they've been having a full-fledged political meltdown. Like, Epstein is literally trending number one. This is a political earthquake, the likes we've never seen before. This pedophile ring being discovered and our president being implicated in it. Donald Trump did not cut ties with Epstein. A December 2017 email exchange between Epstein and one of his victims writes, "I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early and find Trump in your house." This message was sent during Trump's first year in office after he publicly claimed to have cut ties with Epstein for being a creep. So if you're so innocent, why are you lying? Why wouldn't you release evidence opposed to clear your name? The email raises questions about whether Epstein and Trump continue to maintain private contact despite their public fallout narrative. DDG has some more reporting on this. Once again, big shout out our friends DDG, Sarah. They do amazing work. Donald Trump, who has sworn for years that he cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein in 2006, received a $30 million loan in 2012 from a casino tied to Epstein finances, according to a newly released House Oversight email. Trump says he hasn't spoken to Epstein since 2006, but by 2012, money connected to Epstein business networks was still flowing into Trump's world. This comes on top of emails showing Epstein discussing Trump with victims, Epstein describing Trump as being in his house, claimed Trump spent hours with one of his victims. Epstein saying Trump knew about one of his girls. Like, this is pretty much summing up all these emails were just released, and the internet is all over this like piranhas. Like, this is a giant. Once again, I cannot stress enough how much this is damning to Trump. This is damning to the American ruling class, and this proves tankies and communists are right once again. We told people that it's not the working class, not your ordinary American that the culture warriors convince white Americans that we should be fearful of. It's the criminals in the suits. I still got production going crazy right now. It's the criminals in the suits who, you goddamn right, we need authoritarian policies to suppress the pedophiles in our capitalist class. You tell me you don't want to be authoritarian to these Epstein capitalist pedophiles? Social Democrats and liberals like, man, Nick is authoritarian. You goddamn right, I want to fucking suppress the interests of the capitalist class completely. They are ruled by a culture of pedophilia. Like, these are just the people we know of. Harvey Weinstein, Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein. What's the Fox News guy? I forgot his name. Rupert Murdoch. He had a series of sex scandals. They all connected. Like, there's no one more decadent than our morally depraved, pro-rape capitalist class. This is the point I made on Jimmy's show. God bless Jimmy Dore for being one of the few people who have the balls to actually platform me. Like, they implement harsh authoritarian policies on the working class while they protect pedophiles in the ruling class. Bill Gates is another one. I know you guys are dropping some great names in the chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. Bill Gates, Clinton, Reagan, Trump, Hannity. It's a ruling class full of child killers. And we're supposed to have respect for these people. We're supposed to be in civil, polite discourse with these people. That's why the Zohran Mamdani left disgusts me. Like, there's reporting showing that the Biden administration knew everything about the war crimes that Israel committed. And you guys are still wanting to vote and organize with these people? That's disgusting to me. Want to beg for crumbs, beg for endorsements for the people. You should want these people to hate your guts. You don't defeat these people via backroom deals. You defeat them via complete submission and class war. You want them to submit to the working class because they do these crimes. They commit these crimes because they know they're going to get away with it. There are people worried about, I don't want to be authoritarian. Freedom in the USA. I believe in freedom, man. These brainwashed Gen X anti-communist people. No, we can't suppress the capitalists. We gotta let them do their criminal behavior. Yeah, they commit a little bit of war crimes. Nah, we want it to be a stain on a generation that Dick Cheney can die without justice being levied on him. I don't want our generation to be able to say that. Like, man, we dropped the ball and we let our war criminals live a long life. Henry Kissinger living a long life. Dick Cheney living a long life. I guess that's the difference between me and the United States leftists and me and these U.S. leftists who want to work with these people. I want to bring justice to these people. I don't want to have Zionists on my team like Zohran Mamdani. You know what I mean? I don't want to organize the people who condemn BDS like Bernie Sanders. I want to organize a movement that is justice for Palestine, which is designed to hold these criminals accountable. And that's not a small, if you're working with the Zionists, if you're voting and organizing with the Democratic Party, because they didn't want to release this because Hillary Clinton and Democratic agents was implicated. You want to organize with these people, that's not a small disagreement. That's a complete different alignment of our values, my friend. And a lot of people are in MAGA, back to the next story, because Donald Trump is nervous as fuck. He knows what this means for him. He is calling Republicans. And will you do this if you're innocent? Donald Trump personally called Lauren Boebert, urging her to withdraw support for bill releasing the Epstein files. So you guys realize that the Trump administration, by no exaggeration, is a pedophile protection administration. MAGA is a pedophile protection movement, as I said. Because when this happened, Donald Trump and his cabinet called for the Situation Room. You guys know that? When these emails were released, we need an immediate emergency meeting in the Situation Room right now. I just saw that because I was watching some coverage. And this is one of the things they're doing in the Situation Room. Here it is. Look at this. This man is so cooked. MAGA is done. Bro, it's over for you, my friends. Trump administration hosts Situation Room meeting over House effort to force release of all DOJ Epstein files. So Donald Trump is not calling for a Situation Room in response to the hunger crisis in the United States. Are they calling for a Situation Room to immediately address the problem with millions of Americans being homeless, not affording health care. No, they hold an emergency situation room to cover and protect pedophile. Friend, MAGA, it's over. It's cooked, fam. Can you imagine having the stain of your endorsement on this man that will follow you forever? Dave Smith, man, try to warn you. Ian Carroll trying to warn you. All these MAGA people are trying to warn you, man. We try to explain to MAGA people that Trump had connections to Epstein. They didn't want to believe us. You want to tell me that Trump is fighting this hard to fight against the release of the Epstein files, and he's innocent? Come on, man. Come on, man. And this is the absolute cold and meltdown that you see on the right wing. Like, it's over, fam. Like, we already seen a historic amount of right wingers questioning Israel. You've seen many people in the MAGA online sphere revolt over Donald Trump and Pam Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. But it's with this release of this files now, the right wing MAGA echo chamber it's over. It's done. Like, it's complete panic right now. I see MAGA accounts like, okay, how Trump is dead. They sold us out. How do we rebuild from here? It's over. It's over. And Nick Fuentes is one of the more crafty of the Trump supporters who saw this coming a while ago. The smartest among the MAGA chest saw this coming a while ago. So now they are completely off the ship after falling for this obvious fraudster, this open pedophile, this imperialist whose biggest complaint about the establishment was that they never acknowledged him, that they didn't recognize him as one of his own. He was roasted by Barack Obama, and he always wanted to be beloved by the liberal establishment. That's what started the Trump character. Because now, like, the story coming from these emails, like, people are still sifting through a lot of them. Apparently, even there's some more that will possibly be released in a few days. But the new batch here, and the fact that Democrats didn't release this, like, bro, why wouldn't you release this? I know why. We gotta get to that very soon. The Epstein-Mossad connection. Like, there was solid reporting that Jeffrey Epstein provided intelligence to Israel and the Mossad. And we've seen how Donald Trump and his administration's number one priority is not the American working class, it's protecting pedophiles. Jeffrey Epstein referenced both Prince Andrew and Donald Trump in internal emails sent from one of his accounts just weeks before his arrest. Prince Andrew and Trump today, too funny. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago. They were sent the same day Trump met Prince Andrew in London during the UK state visit. So there's so much damning evidence, so many capitalists that are mentioned here. Once again, DDG is killing it with the reporting on this. There are Peter Thiel that is mentioned, Bill Gates, and you guys know that Bill Gates' wife, one of the reasons why she divorced him was because of the Epstein thing. Like, the Epstein ties that he had with her was a real strain on the relationship, and that's something that she says publicly. I showed that clip before. Man, I should have found that. It's a gold clip, but she was concerned. It was one of the things that led to the falling out of the relationship, among many other things, I'm sure. A 2014 email from Jeffrey Epstein to former Obama attorney Kathleen now reveals a shocking network of names and contacts. So they explain all the people that was involved. Look at this Epstein message sent during UN General Assembly Week list. This week till is that Larry Summers, Bill Burns, Gordon Brown. Look, this is the entire Catholic class. The Catholic class is involved in this mass criminal behavior. And there's a reason why there was such an intense, coordinated effort to hide the crimes of these people to the American people. And when the Trump administration, when people say that the Epstein files is a matter of national security, that's one of the few things that they're actually telling the truth about. This is a matter of national security for them. This is one of them scandals that completely delegitimized an entirety of the ruling class. You had things I thought should have, like the war crimes in Iraq, what they did in Vietnam, what they did to the Koreans, what they did to Africa. But this is one of them. Even the suburbanites, fam, even ordinary liberal types are like, man, what's going on with these Epstein files? And as you see with this email, DDG is explaining the entirety of the capitalist class, the biggest names, the top climbers, they're all involved in this. They got dirt on Hillary Clinton too. Oh, this tweet is going crazy. Hotspot got a lot of coverage on this too. I actually want to see some updates. I want to check out some reporting from Hotspot, our friends. Make sure you guys follow Hotspot. You guys know we're dropping banger after banger on Hotspot. Make sure you guys follow my channel too. But Hillary Clinton apparently was throwing that thing back, son. So our ruling class is not only full of pedophiles, but they also extremely messy. They're extremely messy and ghetto. We know that they have affairs. They have sex cults. This is Jeffrey Epstein explaining how Hillary Clinton had an affair with Vince Foster, former attorney. And then Vince Foster is one of those people on the Hillary kill list because Vince Foster committed suicide. The boy Vince Foster apparently clapped those cheeks and immediately committed suicide. One of those mysterious happenings. And this email came out today. And this was an open secret among the capitalist class. They email each other about this kind of stuff. My friends, but they want to build a police state for the quote-unquote depraved, criminal, violent working class. The working class are doing shit like this. Having affairs, killing people so the affair doesn't get out. So Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, the same thing I explained to people many times before. The ruling class, they don't marry for love. They have arranged marriages. People are confused about why Erica Kirk is mourning in a very unique way. She's mourning like a WWE wrestler with pyro. She's mourning like 1998 Bill Goldberg. Because they don't marry for love. They have arranged marriages. Bill Clinton was fucking everyone he can see. Hillary Clinton was throwing that shit back. You guys know, the rumors about Ronald Reagan's wife, right? Like Nancy Reagan was the throat goat, apparently. This is why YouTube be fucking my streams up, my friends. So a young Hillary Clinton was throwing this shit back, apparently. I think this is one of the funniest reveals of the Epstein files. This is the guy, apparently. Apparently he committed suicide. Yeah, I need to look at Hotspot's page. Because just like DDG, they've been doing great reporting. We'd be dropping bang after bang on Hotspot. That shit was a throat goat. God bless everyone who's still watching this on YouTube. We're gonna figure that out, but I'm still live on multiple platforms. I see a lot of people watch on Twitch, X, and other platforms. Live on RBN. We're still streaming on RBN, by the way. I just think it was a good idea that we decentralize a little bit, especially with the social media crackdown. Look, we got a little Twitch army developing here. A little powerful profile pic there. We got people here. Newly obtained Epstein email from House Oversight Committee mentioned Trump's spending hours with alleged victims and knowing about the girls. So they already know these emails are going to be pretty much unreadable for you guys on these streams. That's why it's good to have these tweets that pretty much sum it up. So Trump was spending time with Epstein victims. Even if you're a sweet summer child and you believe that Donald Trump had nothing to do with any of these crimes, you know he at least knew. He was complicit. Oh, legit. Hotspot is on this tonight, bro. Look, Hotspot, they're in the lab cooking. So we're going to reschedule with Sam Husseini because we had a lot of tech issues early on. Now this is perfect because now I can slow down. Now I can really cook with you guys. Because there's so much breaking on this. And Hotspot, they reporting a lot of great stuff here. Jeffrey Epstein received an email from Emirati billionaire Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem in 2011. Subject: smart shoes. He advises Epstein he can assist with providing shoes. What? What smart shoes mean? With GPS integration to track kids. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. Look at this. I'm just seeing this for the first time. He advises Epstein he can assist with providing shoes with GPS integration to track kids and clients. Epstein responds with thanks. Great idea. And this guy, Ahmed bin Sulayem, is a CEO of the logistical giant DP World. Oh, Jesus Christ. Bro, Hotspot is in the lab cooking. Yeah, I'm actually we're about to slow this stream down a bit tonight. Let's look. I'm gonna see what they're reporting on. Yeah, they got the Crown Prince involved. Jesus Christ. Epstein in 2016. Can you believe the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman sent me a tent, carpet, and all? Tom Pritzker, a tent. So Pritzker was emailing Epstein. I think that is code for I love you, or maybe code for go pound sand. So yeah, the Muslim Zionists in the Middle East. Is anyone surprised that they're involved too with this? Epstein is showing more business contacts. Epstein wrote in an email from October 2012 that he loaned Donald Trump $30 million from his casino. Yeah. Yeah, no, we always in the lab cooking on Hotspot. Make sure you guys like and follow our page here. That's Marco Rubio on China. This guy who was a detective, he was leading an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and interviewed several victims and died of a brief illness in 2018. You know, just like all those whistleblowers who was investigating Boeing, who was murdered outright. I tell you guys, you got to believe the analysis. These people, they play for keeps. The capitalist class, our genocidal ruling class, they play for keeps. Charlie Kirk learned that the hard way. So you have all these smoking guns. And Democrats still didn't use any of this. It's because they didn't want to They wanted to protect Hillary Clinton. They saw Hillary Clinton throwing that shit back in the Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein had connection to Obama's deputy counsel, Kathy Rumler. I'm not good with German names. I'm not good. You guys know I'm not good with German and European names. I know how dirty Donald Trump is. Jesus Christ. Now you guys see why they have a situation room about this? Why this was such a devastating story for MAGA and the MAGA universe. And the entirety of the MAGA right wing on Twitter is having a complete meltdown over this. Like, it's over for them. Like, the illusion of Donald Trump is long over. And it's crazy that they could have easily defeated this, but they didn't want to expose the Epstein connection. They didn't want to expose the Israel Mossad connection, which is something I really want to get into. Because you have these bombshell stories that came out. You had all this reporting, and this was revealed, and this has been reported widely. How Jeffrey Epstein was an asset of the Mossad. We don't know the exact nature of their relationship, but we know for a fact that he helped provide intelligence for them. Brian Grimm and Mutaza Hussein had a good report. I want to give a good shout out to them. Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad, how the sex trafficker helped Israel build a back channel to Russia amid Syrian civil war. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein helped Israel sell a surveillance state. Here's Caitlin Johnstone. One of the craziest things happening right now is how there's a report, how there have been report after report showing that Epstein really was an Israeli intelligence operative based on publicly available documents, and yet it has no measurable impact on mainstream media or politics. So this is pretty much the Ryan Grimm story I just showed you guys. That's why it's very interesting whenever you see Zionists, their first instinct, and it does not fail, it's bipartisan. Whenever you ask Zionists about Jeffrey Epstein, they never mention the Israel connection. Democrats by nature never mention it. But Zionists' reaction to the Epstein story has been very revealing because they are always the ones who want to downplay it the most. I know you guys notice that as well. Like, if you look at Laura Loomer, they're like, no, it's not a Jewish conspiracy theory. Israel had nothing to do with Epstein. All the Zionists are the quickest to shoo this story. Ben Shapiro, who we was roasting earlier on my hotspot, who don't care about Americans at all. Ben Shapiro condemns pseudo-MAGA figures for pushing Epstein disclosures. How dare you talk about what I really believe is one of the domestic stories of the decade, exposing the depravity of our capitalist class, how we are ruled by criminals and thugs. But Ben Shapiro and Zionists like, hey guys, don't look into that. He was extremely proud of this. Look, this is what he posted on Facebook. Ben Shapiro breaks down how the Epstein files narrative fell apart and why the conspiracy crowd refuses to let it go. Hey fam, this aged like milk. Hey, Ben Shapiro, how did this turn out for you? Yeah, this is a 60-minute fucking video. There's no way. There's no fucking way I'm watching this. But the description, you guys see, this is the first instinct they have. It's like, no, nothing to see here. Another thing that I saw, which was interesting, there's so much information on the Epstein files. I can do like a 2-hour show on this alone. Like, Jesus Christ. I still got to talk about Israel committing war crimes later. You had a New York Times reporter, Landon Thomas. So someone who is supposed to be a journalist for the New York Times was tipping off Jeffrey Epstein about a follow-up investigation by journalist and former NYPD detective John Connolly. And what they said is he is digging around again. That's the quote. He's warning Jeffrey Epstein he is digging around again. These people are comic book villains. Like, what is this? Who even talks like that? He is digging around again. Not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. This is a New York Times reporter warning and giving a tip to Epstein. How is this not a massive, gigantic scandal that the New York Times, I don't know, maybe this is a breaking story. Maybe they do have to answer for this. But this is something they should be forced to answer for. He is like, hey, Epstein, they asking me all these questions about you, bro. They poking around, bro. They digging around again. Like, bro, are you a Scooby-Doo villain? The fuck is this? I know you guys can't see it that well, but that way he said he's digging around again. Not clear if it's another book or expanded paperback version. Was asking me all sorts of questions about why you hired Ken Starr. I told him I had no idea. I think he is doing some Trump-related digging too. He was warning Epstein about people looking into his connection with Donald Trump. And these emails revealed how they had a media PR strategy where they strategically distanced themselves from Donald Trump, because if less people on the Republican side are talking about Trump Epstein, that less eyes on this whole story overall. The less people who are discussing this massive conspiracy is better for them. But why? And this is a question that none of the liberal corporate media, at least in the coverage because the MSNBC, CNN, and all of them, they're making this just about Trump and Epstein, which is important. That is important, right? But why is there not an analysis behind this entire capitalist system and how they enabled this behavior? All the capitalists and all the names involved. The fact that the New York Times as an institution could even allow this to happen. You working in line with pedophiles? What other criminal behavior is the New York Times involved with? Jesus Christ. Jeffrey, this is another one from Hotspot. They got some bangers. You know, we always do a great report on there. Like, it should be over. In a rational society, it should be over for our pedophile-controlled ruling class, for the Epstein-Israel-connected ruling class. This is Jeffrey Epstein to the United States Special Envoy to Syria. We covered Tom Barrack before. This email said, send photos of you and child. Make me smile. These people are disgusting. Do we have Sam Husseini join us today? I think we got Sam in the background. Give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready, Sam. I was just breaking down these Epstein stories. I know what our stream today was crazy. This is the focus. Sam, are you there? Oh, either way, we can check out my guest here soon. But this is the focus of the Trump administration. Trump penned letter demanding Israeli president fully pardon Netanyahu. So the main focus and the situation room that Trump built to cover up for this Epstein connection. Now Trump is appealing to the president of Israel, begging him to protect Netanyahu. You guys see the focus, the demand that Donald Trump has? This is the letter he apparently sent. This is the letter that Donald Trump sent to the president of it's my honor to write you this in this historic time. We have together to secure peace. This is to the country that is still committing genocide to this day. And that's what we'll uncover in our next segment. I want to get Sam Husseini. I think we have Sam Husseini here. I think we do. I want to cover some. Cause we can wrap there. I was covering this Epstein connection for the last hour, so I think I'll wrap it here. Yeah, we have our guest. So let me do an intro to this segment, and then we get Sam in here. Make sure you guys like, share the stream. Yeah, I think we do a quick intermission. Yeah, I know the new YouTube settings they have today is crazy, man. I don't know what that's about, but we're still live on Twitch, Reddit, X. We're gonna cover the fake ceasefire, which was essentially meant to be a tranquilizing drug for the Free Palestine movement. Like, there's way less coverage and there's way less outrage, way less mobilization about what Israel is doing in Gaza. They testing these nuclear bombs. They still murdering Palestinians en masse. Like, the ceasefire was only designed just so they can get their hostages back. You had Israel that completely poisoned the water supply in Gaza. Gaza's water turns poisonous as Israel's genocide leaves toxic aftermath. You had Israeli settlers that are engaging in terrorist attacks on the West Bank with Donald Trump approval. And CNN and corporate media, they're still writing headlines praising Donald Trump for peace. As Donald Trump is enabling the annexation of the West Bank. As if you have Israel that is openly celebrating rapists. These are we've been covering this for a while, the Israeli soldiers en masse. And I want to get Sam Husseini's thoughts on this. Sam, are you ready? Can you give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready? I can bring you in. I want to get your thoughts on some of these stories on the intro. Just let me know whenever you're ready, and I can bring you in to comment on this. But this is the story we've been covering for a while. As the Western media, as Dana Bash mirrored Palestinian men as rapists. You had Israeli soldiers, these people in mask here, who admit and they proud that they engage in mass rape of Palestinians. And they are celebrated by the Israeli society. This has been completely ignored by the Western media. So I want to get our guests in here. I know we had a long night. I'm glad I'm able to actually get Sam's thoughts today. We have quite a bit to cover. There's a lot of traction not covered. We have amazing journalists. He was assaulted by the Biden administration for calling out the genocide in Gaza. Amazing investigative reporter. Thank you for joining us. Once again, friend of RBN, Sam Husseini. Thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been covering in depth, in detail, how Israel been violating the ceasefire. They violated hundreds of times, and people don't even talk about it. You have Israeli soldiers that came out, and this was a big headline today. Israeli soldiers speak out on killings of Gaza civilians. They coming out and openly admitting that it was a free-for-all. You have doctors who was operating on Palestinian children who explained that they had bullet wounds that was very targeted and directed at their head, their skull, their heart, targeted killing of Palestinian children. And this is still going on today. And Sam, just to get started, there was a lot that we covered ground on there. But I want to get your thoughts on the ongoing ceasefire and the Western media's failure to cover it, because you have Israel that's still engaging in war crimes. You have Israeli soldiers speaking out about how they're getting away with war crimes with impunity against the Palestinian people. So what is your thoughts, just to get us warmed up here, on the state of this so-called ceasefire and the struggle the Palestinian people are going up against a genocidal state? Let's just get us started. Thank you for joining us once again, Sam. It's great to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. The so-called ceasefire, and you're exactly right to call it so-called ceasefire. Really annoys me when people talk about it ceasefire without saying so-called, because Israelis are still killing people on a daily basis. Maybe it's a reduced fire some of the days.
Yeah.
So they're killing, maybe 3, 5, 10 people a day, most days, but there are some days where they are killing over 100 still. But it's not the, 1 or 200 people every day that they were killing prior to this Trump deal. It's not a peace plan by any stretch of the imagination. Hamas agreed to the initial conditions, like the first 3 or 4 or 5 points or so, in order to get to a ceasefire. They didn't agree to all the other stipulations. They sort of sidestepped it and just said, that requires a Palestinian consensus. So the whole, Trump wanted to install himself as the head of a board for peace with Tony Blair, who did the Iraq War. I think it's really important to take a step back and realize when this happened. And I think the timing is really significant. It happened right after Petro of Colombia raised the prospect of doing Uniting for Peace. Right. And it happened right after the flotilla, where, a ton of people got in, including some, kind of celebrity people. And it happened right after all of the general strikes in Europe, in Italy especially. So I think all of those factors coalesced to, really compel the Trump administration to call in all of its chips. And I suspect what happened is that they got these various Arab states to lean into Hamas to say, you got to do a deal right now.
Yep.
Because Hamas did do some serious concessions, from the most obvious one saying that they agree to this and to give up all of the Israeli captives without Israel leaving all of the Gaza Strip. So you now have Israel basically dividing. It has more than half of Gaza right now. In under its full control. I mean, it controls everything at a certain level in terms of the sky and the ports and all of that. But it completely controls like 55-58% of the Gaza Strip. So they're sort of cutting it up the same way that they've been cutting up the West Bank. And they're putting in their gangs in there. And they'll probably use that for when they get media in there to highlight that area in some ways. And they're still obviously limiting aid and and continuing to attack the Palestinians in the rest of Gaza. And they're not allowing shelter aid in, which is critical with the upcoming winter. So I think that they're continuing, they've sort of skipped a beat here, but they're basically continuing with their ultimate plan of wanting to drive Palestinians out, to continue to drive Palestinians out. This is part of a 100-year project and counting of taking the Palestinian land from the Palestinian people and to put in a colonial enterprise. So I think I think that's still it's still continuing. It's still the plan. And now we see, Trump continuing to push his, getting Herzog to pardon Netanyahu. It reminds me of, Clinton, when his impeachment was getting rough, would bomb places. It's like, these tools of empire have to pay homage to the empire in order to get out of their personal corruption. In Clinton's case, sexual, and in Netanyahu's case, financial.
Yeah.
But if they do enough service for the empire, it finds a way to absolve them or to get them off the hook. That's very interesting to see.
Yeah, that was a great breakdown and very well said, Sam. And it's what you see in Gaza right now, because it's been reported that Israel is only allowing less than a fourth of the promised aid in. You have Israeli settlers that are literally destroying some aid. Like I saw one where there was like pouring cement and flour, destroying the aid, and this is coordinated with the IDF. When you see this ongoing assault, and it's clear that Israel only was pushing for this ceasefire in order to get the hostages back. It's why all the people that was calling for a demilitarized Palestinian state, it was so foolish to me. And it seemed like they was advocating for a death sentence for the Palestinian people. And all the sellout, I call them Muslim Zionists, the Muslim Zionists in the Middle East, the Arab leaders that you mentioned, Sam, because they played a big part in pushing and forcing Hamas to accept this peace agreement. And they was the ones who was advocating for Hamas to disarm. And so what are your guys' response to Israel blatantly and openly violating the ceasefire, which is not even a thing? They're bombing Lebanon as well. They seized land in Syria. They are actively hostile to their neighbors. And we see, and I want your thoughts. I want to get to Biden here soon, but Gaza's water has been completely poisoned. And this is what Mick Wallace, this is the tweet I was about to read. I didn't get a chance to read it, but yeah, he was covering this. Why are the United States and EU silent about the terrorist state of Israel killing innocent Palestinians every day? Is this their idea of a ceasefire? Because there was bombing civilian areas in Gaza this morning. Right. Meanwhile, as this is happening, there are many people on the left that is engaged in the tranquilizing drug of electoralism. But we will get to that very soon. Right. Sam, any final thoughts on what you've been seeing in Israel? Any final updates? And we will move on. I want to get to our next topic. But any final thoughts on Trump's approach to Israel, Gaza? Any final thoughts before I move on to our next topic here?
Sure. Simultaneously, we're seeing, a record amount of violence on the West Bank by settlers that the Israeli government, enables and works hand in glove with. Occasionally, they, I think today they did a little bit of slapping on the wrist, but it's all sort of for consumption on the establishment media so that they can pretend that they're doing something, so like the complete nut job settlers. It's the, I went to an event the other day of about it was a group of people who work on seed preservation. And keeping alive Palestinian indigenous culture and agriculture and seeds and so on. And one of the things they highlighted was, Palestinian farmers don't talk about winter, spring, summer, fall. They talk about fig season and pomegranate season and olive season. And now they're picking olives, and the settlers are going out there and, bashing Palestinian grandmothers who are picking olives. Like, I mean, literally they have an olive branch in their hand. And these insane militarized settlers are attacking them. So, on every way that it can get away with, the imperial Israeli state is, attempting to subjugate the Palestinians and make their lives as hellish as possible.
Yeah, Very, very well said. I want to I have a hard time. Like, I haven't been watching any European international football, soccer. I love watching like the Champions League. I've been doing that for a very long time. One of the few team sports. I'm mostly a combat, most of the combat sports guy. But I haven't been watching it. Seeing the corruption in FIFA and the UEFA. Like, they banned Russia immediately
Right.
for genocide and war crime. Like within the week of the Ukraine war.
Right.
And then after Israel is committing killing active Palestinian athletes, like Palestinians who literally was on the football team, they was murdering as a state. And all the people who are a part of the Israeli football team are part of the IDF, by the way. Like, in order to be part of the football team, you have to join the IDF, like most Israeli adults. So it's not like we picking on random people. They're playing football with fucking war criminals. So I just showing this. I just want to interject it somewhere. I'm glad to see this. Like, Paul Pogba. I love Paul Pogba back in the day. He was a French World Cup winner. Paul Pogba was calling this out. More than 70 athletes. Instead of saying just 70, I'm gonna stay positive and say, well, at least we got 70. Paul Pogba, Dutch Ford. I'm not too familiar with Anwar. Hakeem Ziyech, Adamain Traore. So pretty much there's 70 soccer stars that are putting pressure on UEFA. There have been human rights organizations putting pressure on UEFA to ban the state of Israel. And it just shows them the global Zionist corruption machine that they've been in. Like, Germany, their prime minister got involved. The UK prime minister said we got to fight against anti-Semitism. Trump and them got involved. Sam, I saw you on mute. Do you have anything you want to add to the story? I just want to interject this quickly before we get to Zohran and the state of the left. Anything you want to add before I move on, Sam?
Yeah, no, I'm not following the football stuff too closely, but your thing about Russia reminded me that I saw that there was this European journalist who asked some European officials about, well, why aren't you you guys demanded that Russia give reparations to Ukraine? Do you demand that Israel? And virtually no one's talking about this. It's an excellent point by this journalist. Shouldn't Israel pay reparations for the damage that it's caused in Gaza? And they fired him for asking the question. It just shows the level of lunacy in the whole structure.
Yeah, I will just cover it now. I'm trying to see if I can find it. That was another example how our system is institutionally racist. Like, they straight up admit, like, we think Ukrainian lives matter way more than Palestinians, who we don't even view as humans. They have a cute little soccer team. We let their soccer team play with us, but we don't really view them as humans. You can literally kill a Palestinian soccer player, and they was allowing Israel to continue to play. But the point I'm making is how there's this global backlash starting to grow.
There is. I'm sure a lot of soccer fans have been really vocal. I've seen it. I don't follow sports too much anymore, but a lot of activism happens in soccer stadiums. That's great.
Yeah, and I remember during 2022, I covered this during my rookie year as a citizen journalist. I was covering how Israeli journalists was being denied interviews. You had the Israeli soccer team being jeered. And then, of course, the Israeli media and the Western media like, oh my God, this is another example of rising anti-Semitism in the world. Yeah. That was before the genocide, fam. Long-time viewers, you guys remember vividly I was covering how Israel was being mocked at the last World Cup. Fam, it is going to be nuclear. It's going to, and Israelis have felt it in international. I don't want to bore you with my nerdy talk about European soccer, but the pressure on Israel on the international stage has been insane. You have Israeli soldiers who are coming out and openly admitting that they are war criminals. The dam is breaking. The dam is completely breaking. And now you have Biden officials, and these are the people who assaulted you. That's how I define it. They assaulted you for asking them a question about war crimes. And now they're coming out with this. And to me, it's crazy that they're saying this stuff publicly without heads rolling. You know what I mean? Look, Biden discussed potential Israeli war crimes in Gaza. Then he kicked the can to Trump. So according to their reporting, and maybe this is Blinken people trying to bail him out, Blinken was like, hey, man, I think that we should be concerned about these war crimes following us around. And Biden officials killed it. The same way we've seen Biden officials kill the war crimes report that was drawn up by the Biden officials who later resigned. But Sam, you covered the Biden administration like extremely close, and they was extremely hostile to you. So how crazy is it that they assaulted you and called you an agitator for calling out their war crimes? And now later in interviews and books, they're like, oh, yeah, I was pretty concerned about the war crimes going on. Do you have any thoughts, Sam?
Yeah, no, it's utterly preposterous and a total, con to try to, gaslight, pretend to everybody that they were actually concerned when they were enabling Israel at every turn. I raised the possibility of State Department officials being guilty of war crimes in November of 2023 in one of my questions. So, I effectively put them on notice on the record about that at the time. And, I tried to articulate in, the few times that I managed to get a question in, but I was able to elbow my way in a fair number of times. And that shows a clear pattern of them undermining any effort at constraining Israel. They lied to me left, right, left, right, up and down about whether or not Israel was bound by the Geneva Conventions. Once the U.S. basically wouldn't say, you, Israel, are constrained by the Geneva Conventions in Gaza, that it's occupied territory, that it basically created the legal construct for it to be a free fire zone. Because if the Geneva Conventions don't apply, they can do anything they want, basically. And the U.S. tried to give them that phony, fictitious diplomatic cover without really acknowledging that it was doing that. So they played completely Machiavellian games in order to facilitate Israel's genocide. To say that they kicked it down the road is ridiculous. They didn't kick it down the road. They were, kicking Palestinian brains open on a daily basis. And they are in effect working hand in glove with Trump. I mean, the whole, I mentioned earlier how, I think that the current so-called ceasefire happened in part because Petrov talked about doing Uniting for Peace, which is a mechanism whereby the UN General Assembly, if you get 2/3 of the General Assembly, they can basically take control of the situation to get around the US veto. It requires a lot of effort because then 2/3, of the countries got to get their act together and actually stand up to the US, which is bullying and bribing all of them at the UN and elsewhere. But people might recall after South Africa invoked their the Genocide Convention at the International Court of Justice, they got a series of emergency orders from the court. The final one in May of 2024 was quite direct. The first two, were good, but they weren't as direct as they should have been. They said, Israel, you have to stop any genocidal activity. It was kind of a general statement. But the last one was, you, Israel, started your invasion of Rafah on May 7th, 2024. You must immediately stop it. This order came down on May 24th. It was a very direct order. Then you had Algeria reportedly started drafting a UN Security Council resolution to implement that order. The Security Council is like the sheriff. All right, they get an order from the court, the International Court of Justice, and then the Security Council is supposed to implement that order. And the U.S. stalls for time at the Security Council, and then Biden comes out with his statement saying, Netanyahu has agreed to a ceasefire. You remember this? Netanyahu has agreed to a ceasefire, and then Netanyahu's kind of like the next day's like, I did, So they're playing this game. And, a lot of this, progressive, whatever, liberal, whatever you want to call it, peace movement, jumped on this. And, to just swallow what Biden was saying. They were like, "Yay, ceasefire! Yay, hooray! Biden's gonna finally come through and save the day. He's really mad at Netanyahu. He's gonna save the day." All of this stuff, and they totally forgot about the court orders. To try to implement some level of legal accountability to Israel and to use what leverage we could from what South Africa did. So I think it really behooves the peace movement, or people on the left, or anybody pretending to want to do solidarity and really push for peace and justice, to really scrutinize how we're going to act here. When there's a court order, you goddamn got to make sure that you keep your eye on the ball and try to make sure that that court order gets implemented. And of course, they just steamed over. And then to finish the story, the UN Security Council on June 10th passed a resolution drafted by the U.S., giving its blessing to the U.S. ceasefire effort and making no mention whatsoever of the court order that they just got a couple of weeks before that. He was utterly preposterous. He was a total con. And all these countries went along with it, and not enough of the peace movement and so on spoke out against it. So I think we're kind of seeing a repeat of that with this current so-called ceasefire, right? There was too much, there were too many things pushing things in the right direction. So they came up with this phony deal. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to shake down right now. They're trying to get this stabilization force, or this Trump plan, the French and the Saudis, which is kind of another layer of oppression, their so-called stabilization force. But I'm still hoping that enough countries can get their act together and push for this Uniting for Peace resolution that builds on the South Africa case that's being pushed by Colombia.
Very well said.
That and other things that people are doing, and in the region and around the world, are where we put our hopes.
Yeah, this is what is disgusting about liberal culture to me, and you're seeing a lot more pressure on the United States government on their actions around Israel because of Republicans in charge. Because the dynamic we've seen, and you just described this dynamic, is that whenever you have a Democrat in charge, instead of holding the government accountable, liberals act like lawyers on behalf of the regime. Like, they're the ones who say, "Oh, technically it's not a genocide." They go along with the same narrative and playbook that they're using for Trump now. The pretend narrative about Trump splitting with Netanyahu, they played in the same narrative with Biden, as you just laid out. The liberals are more happy to go along with it. They play lawyers when a Democrat's in charge, and when the Republican in charge, they have fake resistance. And I'm at the point right now where I'm thinking about what I can do as someone who lives in the empire, where our long-term goal should be. I don't think we should just advocate for just free Palestine. I'm like for justice for Palestine. I explained it many times before. Justice for these people. Like people like Karine Jean-Pierre, who said she's proud of everything she did, doesn't regret supporting and doing propaganda for genocide. The same people who call, and I would agree in terms of analysis about the fascist tendencies of Donald Trump, but they don't mention how the Biden administration literally targeted reporters. They targeted our brother Chairman Amali. And we can never fall for the illusion that there's some preferable wing of the genocidal machine that we can infiltrate. These genocidal wings, these genocidal parties, are ones that we should be holding accountable with, not building coalitions with. And on this be our last segment, because I want your thoughts on this, because you've been organizing a lot of great stuff like Vote Pack. I want your thought on Vote Pack.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about Vote Pack. I want your thought. What's the vision here? Right. And it's up my alley, because I'm all about trying to strategize and building coalitions against the duopoly. So let's start here, and then before we move on. So can you explain what Vote Pack is all about, Sam?
Yeah, the idea is that, instead of one person holding their nose and voting for the Democrat and another person holding their nose and voting for the Republican, that they pair up and both vote for non-genocidal, decent candidates. Now, it could be different candidates, but in an ideal situation, if they voted for the same candidate, if we can find candidates that could appeal to, think about somebody like, Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul, or, there's this sort of pro-peace, anti-intervention, pro-liberty thing that runs across, both segments, the most principled segments of the left and the most principled segment of the right. I mean, I'm coming from the left, but I sometimes listen to people, libertarians and others on the right, and I'm like, yeah, well, they're making sense on a lot of things. And you're seeing, more and more of that. You're seeing, I mean, the whole thing with Charlie Kirk, even, starting to, flip on Israel. So I think that sort of woke up a lot of people on the right. And I think that it's a great time for people to start, instead of, forever latching, so-called leftists forever latching themselves onto the Democratic Party, where they know it's going to be a dead end, because it's always a dead end, because the Democratic Party is a graveyard of social movements, and has been my entire adult life. And I see no evidence it won't continue to be that. And Trump doing his con, right, where he pretends to be against the establishment, he's going to drain the swamp, and he's going to be a peace president. And you know what the hell you're going to get. He's bombing Iran, he's bombing ships in the Caribbean, as well as giving Netanyahu more than any other president. So instead of people, being appendages of the establishment, that they join together and build something that doesn't attack the duopoly from one edge or the other, but from a radical center, and then grows out of that.
That's very well said. That's actually very well said, because
it's something anybody can do. Look, I mean, I've been advocating this for a while, but it hasn't taken off yet. Like, one of your listeners could start pairing people up, and I want to hear about it if they do that. I mean, this crystallization process is going to happen at some point, and better sooner than later. And as soon as it happens, I'd love to point people to it, and to highlight people who are pairing up in this way. Because, a lot of, I mean, I'm sure you voted third party. I voted third party I voted third party since 1992. I wrote in Ralph Nader rather than vote for Bill Clinton in 1992, first election I voted, the general election I voted in. But a lot of people aren't ready to do that. But if they lean on somebody else from the other side, then it can really take off. So that's the idea behind Vote Pact.
Yeah, I've been screaming, and I will continue to scream and advocate towards refusing to vote for either of these genocidal parties who betrayed the working class. They have failed you. Look at your cities. Look at the state of the working class. They've been in power. Like, it's not a project. Like, we see how they govern. Look how they govern blue cities. Look at the cop cities they build. Look at the homeless. Like, I was just in Chicago, and I'm like, there's homeless everywhere. Isn't this ran by Democrats? Kansas City ran by Democrats, and did not let Republicans off the hook, because I've seen what your red states look like. Our ruling class has failed. So it's time to stop engaging in the failed strategy of entryism and making backroom deals with the capitalist class, who have no interest in actually properly governing. They only care about one thing, that is extracting resources and profit from the capitalist class. And that's why I see these Democratic heroes, where I joke with Zoya, and I'm like, man, we could have gained so many subscribers if we just rode the Zohran Mamdani train to the promised land, like many people did. But
I mean,
I gotta be. Yeah, go ahead, Sam. But I'll be honest with you guys, man. I'm not interested in these Dem operatives, and it's my duty to people to tell the truth about and give knowledge to the working class what they should expect. And I find it extremely suspect, because I see people even now like, Nick, why are you going so hard on Zohran Mamdani? And I'm like, sir and ma'am, Zohran Mamdani won the election already. Like, you should be doing what I'm doing. The election's over. You blew Cuomo away. Why are you guys still defending him? Now is the time to be offensive. And the reason why I want to bring this up to you, because you had a great tweet where you mentioned how if you're a supporter of Zohran, now is the time to put on the pressure. And the people who are not doing that are just revealing themselves as the unserious leftists who I mock, as people who just treat this as politics. They treat politics like it's high school. Don't criticize Mamdani. Don't. So there's a few things I see that, and I won't get your reaction to this headline. Like, you have Mamdani that is apparently protecting his mama bear, Hakeem Jefferies. So he has these radical young people who supported him that he's already distanced himself from. And there's this young Gen Z councilman who wanted to primary Hakeem Jefferies. And then now you have Zohran Mamdani that's like, hey man, we can't rock the boat when we just won this election. You guys see where this is already going? So sorry for the long intro, because I know you got plenty to say on this. But you guys see where this is already going? You're already making deals with the genocidal Zionist scum Hakeem Jefferies?
Right.
What are we doing here? Sam, that was a long spill, but any thoughts, anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, the one of the statements I made was if you don't critique him from the left, then you assure that the entire critique of him is from the right, and he's guaranteed to get worse and worse. So it's the most ridiculously unstrategic thing to not lay out a factual critique right now. And we've seen this over and over again with AOC, with Obama, with Clinton before that. It just keeps happening. And people can't fall in love with politicians like this and expect there to be actual change. You got to use the politician. You got to use them. Now, there could be an opening here. I don't know. Maybe not. But you got to use the opening. You don't just sit there and just cheer them on. And just allow them to fold more and more into the establishment. That New York Times headline that you put up is hilarious. But I mean, he's saying that he's keeping Tish in place as police commissioner. Now she has I mean, talk regarding the whole Israel thing. She comes from this incredibly pro-Israeli family. Her grandfather was Lawrence Tish, who owned CBS and made it very pro-Israeli back in the 1980s and 90s. That people are talking now about Ellison taking over CBS and putting Barb Weiss in charge. I mean, all of these TV networks have gone through several iterations of becoming more and more pro-Israel. I'm seeing some interesting information about her having a lot of connections to Israel, the NYPD having a lot of connections to Israel, and so on and so forth. So it's utterly ridiculous not to challenge that and to make him backtrack on saying that he's going to keep somebody like that on. And I don't think that his new, I think it was probably very slick of him to put out basically this all-female team of transition team because it distracts people from saying, okay, who are these people and what are their corporate ties and what are their other ties and so on, so that we can really see, are these really agents of change, or are they just rehashing some of the same people around Bloomberg and other people in the New York establishment. So I think a great deal of scrutiny is called for, and I put out a bunch of posts on X and got so much pushback, and my engagement went way down. Now I don't know if my engagement went way down because of the algorithm or just because of the mindset.
Elon is fucking shit up.
I'm sure it's partly the algorithm, but it's also partly the mindset of people that they don't want to hear it.
I felt it too, man.
And they're only going to be able to hear it when it's too late, after he's totally sold the farm. So, that's not acceptable.
Trust me, man. I felt it. I felt it too. And there was a lot of people like, come on, man, let off Zohran. And I'm like, and there was so much pressure. And I've seen a lot of Zohran people like, man, I'd rather not tune in. I'd rather go to a Hassan Piker stream. I'd rather go to a stream where they can whisper sweet nothings in my ear about how great everything's wrong going to be. I'm like, if you guys think this is my first rodeo, this is far from my first rodeo. I've been through this before. I've seen the popular progressive. I criticized them. I went through this with AOC and Bernie. Like, this is not my first rodeo. I know exactly how this is going to go now. And there's this time where people get upset with me, and there are people who won't follow me, and they later turn around like, oh, man, I guess you was right, man. Like, the amount of people who got upset with me with my initial AOC criticism. I still remember when I went on the Jimmy Dore show, I critiqued AOC, and the amount of people like, Nick, how dare you do this to us? Me and those people turn around, like, to give them props. Me and those people realized that I was right about AOC. I'm saying the same thing with Zohran, man. Like, if Zohran didn't give me these red flags, I would have nothing to criticize.
Right.
Because I was very hands-off this election. The second day he started blah, 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 I'm like, let me look into this guy. Yeah, and I found nothing but red flags ever since then.
Yeah, people are like, why do you hate this guy? I'm like, I don't hate this guy. I don't care, I'm just not in love with him. I'm just looking at the facts. I'm just trying to do analysis. Like, that's my job,
Yeah, I have a responsibility, to be honest with you guys. And the second I saw Mamdani's strategy, I knew that you guys was cooked.
Yeah.
Like the strategy of engaging in backroom deals instead of class war. Mm-hmm. This is someone who is interested and is looking long term. Mamdani is a young man, and I just use common sense because you can just simply humanize these people to understand their intentions. Like you're a young man. You just became mayor of New York, bro. You think your career is going to end here? The sky is the limit. I don't think you can become president. But other than that, the sky is the limit for him politically. So if he was going to wage the class war that is necessary to get the wins for the working class that he's promised, that will lead to him being hated by the ruling class. He will be hated by Hakeem Jefferies. You'll be hated by the landlords when you start mobilizing the working class and doing the revolutionary work that is needed for you to have and effect change. So the fact that Mamdani is willing to engage in these backroom deals is just a sign that he's already looking towards the future. There were stories showing that he met with landlords and he promised he's not going to disrupt their business model. Now he's meeting with Jamie Dimon. Fam, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but making backroom deals with capitalists is not socialism. Right. And I know I'm being a nitpicky asshole for saying that. But to me, that's common sense. If you want welfare capitalism or something that kind of resembles that, just say that. Don't have this failed strategy that will fail because I see the strategy that you're using, and then people can pin on socialism later. And then I'm like, God damn it, I gotta take the L for some shit that's not even me. So if socialism is so toxic like people claim it is, why do you guys keep trying to call yourself socialist? Just be honest. Just say you're a welfare capitalist. You believe in making backroom deals. You rather serve the empire and make deals with them instead of engaging in class war with them. But Sam, I got a lot to say on this. Do you have anything you want to add? Look, this is Mamdani meeting with. I'll just read the last two headlines and we begin to get wrap up. Look, Mamdani says he'll meet with Jamie Dimon, financial title. This is the strategy that I disagree with. I think it's a bad strategy. Now we're seeing this. New York Mayor-elect Mamdani appoints, and this is the team that you mentioned, like, props for you mentioned this transition team. He elects this transition team of right-wing Democratic Party operatives. And Mamdani is apparently it's all women, as you mentioned. I also mentioned that I noticed, and this is also me probably being nitpicky here, I noticed that over the last few weeks, especially as it became clear that he was going to be mayor, that Mamdani shifted from a class war message to more of an identity politics message. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me. But you guys notice the last few weeks, that's when he started mentioning Islamophobia. We got to fight against Islam. I'm not saying it's not a legit thing to talk about. But all of a sudden he started, I got to stand with my Jewish community and fight anti-Semitism. We got to stand against Islamophobia. Right. All of a sudden, he started talking about liberal identity politics. And to me, the shift was clear. Now he has this all-women team that are Democratic Party ops. All right, Sam, I know y'all plenty to say. I'll give you last thoughts on this segment. I'm just getting started because the red flags keep popping up, guys. And I got to do my due diligence. He's a big name. He is driving money. He is now protecting Hakeem Jefferies. He's a political force. I got to tell you guys the honest truth. And if he is better than expected, allow politicians to prove you wrong for once. That's all I'm asking. But Sam, I'll give you final thoughts. Anything you want to add before we begin to wrap up here?
Yeah, just I think what's really important is the timing of Mamdani's election. Just when people were fed up with the Democratic Party and them backing genocide and them being useless and da-da-da-da-da, he's, what folks have called a sheepdog. So he's going to bring people back into the Democratic Party. So they get hoodwinked into thinking that that's where their energy's got to go, that, if they, work in the Democratic Party, then they can get someplace. And I would be very, very skeptical of that. You need to use your energies not to get sucked into that kind of thing. You need to build independent movements, and you need to build transpartisan alliances, in my view.
Yeah, very well said, Sam. I appreciate you joining us on this kind of chaotic stream because we had some tech issues with YouTube earlier on, and that's why we was kind of throwing the chaos earlier. But I'm glad he was able to join us. I would love to have you on for when we have some more time. And once again, it's always great to have your insights. Sam, any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug and promote before we begin to wrap up tonight? I'll give you any last word before we begin.
Sure. People can check out my writing at Substack, Husseini.substack.com. We didn't really get to the whole Epstein stuff. I barely kept up with it today. I've been running around, and I know.
Yeah, I was ranting about it on the first hour of the stream was kind of chaotic with the tech issues, but I did a bit of coverage on it. Do you have any thoughts? Feel free if you want to, if you have any thoughts on it. But pretty much it was revealed. There was a lot that was revealed today. I pretty much covered that in my first hour of the show. But you have any thoughts? I would love to hear it before.
One thing that's been sticking in my mind is if there are connections between Tish and Epstein. I think it would be important to scrutinize that. I don't know if there's anything in the stuff that's coming out now, either from Congress or the hacked emails from Ehud Barak that people are reporting on. I'd be very curious if there's stuff regarding Tish on that. Obviously everybody uses this for their partisan ends. The Democrats are going to talk about, Trump, and the Republicans are going to talk about Clinton when it's, just another form of indicting, both of them. And one thing that's concerned about me about it, and I wrote like a big, 12 points on Epstein a couple of months ago on my Substack, is that how even the quote unquote good people in Congress, Massey and Ro Khanna, they'll talk about Epstein's connections to the rich and powerful, but they won't name them, even though we know a lot of the names. We know Wexner backed him up, the founder of Victoria's Secret, who runs so much of Columbus, Ohio, and is involved with the MAGA group, the Mega Group, which I suspect that MAGA is an inside joke for the Mega Group. The Mega Group is like a group of Israeli billionaires that got together and formed this group and had some connections to Epstein, the Bronfmans and Les Wexner and Larry Tisch, the grandfather of the current commissioner of police in New York. All these people formed this thing called the Mega Group. And I wouldn't be shocked if MAGA was like an inside joke, like, that it's actually behind this brand that Trump fronts ultimately to continue the Israeli imperial enterprise. So they
probably couldn't stop laughing that caught on. And people really thought that Trump represented America first. They probably laughed so hard at the dumb peasants.
Totally. Totally. And so much of what Trump is doing now is to pretend that it's not Israel first. He's trying to reframe the genocide as an immigration issue by turning it into the, ICE and all of this stuff, and going after boats in the Caribbean, to protect people from drugs allegedly, and all of this stuff. So much of what Trump is trying to do is to rebrand what he's doing as to not be an imperial enterprise, but to defend the homeland in America first. And it's all obviously a farce, just like the Democrats are.
Yeah, very well said. It's always great to have you on.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's always great to have your insights. We definitely will have you back on again. Thank you everyone who for watching on multiple platforms. I know it was a really rocky start on YouTube. I appreciate everyone who stuck in with us in the beginning. But it was a very great show, especially when Sam chimed in. We definitely got to do it another time when we had a little bit more time. It was kind of a chaotic 2-hour stream, but I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you guys support us on Patreon. Make sure you support Vopak. Follow Sam Husseini for his amazing journalism. I will be back on Friday. We got a lot of bearing guests, man. Zoya been in the lab cooking, my friends. Zoya's been in the lab cooking. We have a lot of fantastic international guests that are returning. I think I'm going to do a special show for Saturday because we have a lot of comrades in China that we've been talking to, but we haven't had them on because of time zone differences. So on Saturday, we're going to do a special afternoon show to bring some comrades from China back on. So we got a lot of great programs coming up on RBN and my personal channel, Nick Cruse. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night, y'all. Peace.